Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gooner Gathering. I am Gooner Lee Meadows, joined by the poshest man in sports entertainment. All right, Gaffer, how you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. I'll probably be streaming Football Manager before the Arsenal Luton game tomorrow, likely anyway. So
Fantastic.
I'll probably be doing that. Yeah, I'm doing very good. Good to see you again. Hopefully, one Sam Wilson will be on any minute now. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've had a bit of a week without going into too much of the details. Obviously, our stream was cancelled yesterday. Bit of a family matter I had to deal with. I will leave it at that. But thank you. There was a couple of people who did message me, and they know who they are, including one Gooner Gossip TV. Soph, best wishes to you. Special shout out to you. But yeah, everything is all okay. Mahira is in the chat again. Good to see you there. So before we get into Arsenal business, and as we are waiting for our third man to jump in, let's hit one of the highlights of our channel. It's the Ibsley highlight of the week.
Oh well. Look, we were away to Dagenham and Redbridge on Monday, and we wanted to get a bit of revenge for when was it? Back in October, when we were at home. But obviously things are different now. I say things are different. We were 1-0 down, but we got a last-minute equaliser, which was very handy. Still a bit squeaky bum time in the relegation fight, but is the third man Hulk Hogan? No, the third man is here.
Yes.
We'll get him a chance to load. But yeah.
But whose side is he on?
Well, we'll have to see what happens there. Here he is.
The host of Wrestle Dogs himself, with the most reliable internet in the business. Sam Wilson is in the house. Hello, mate.
Good. Yeah, hi. It's good down here downstairs. It's nice and clear. It just took
looking dashing as ever.
It just took a little while for you to appear because I just entered and the screens were black. So
fair enough. It's wonderful to have you on with us. It's been a while. It certainly has. Obviously, you're a very busy boy over on Wrestle Dogs. Tell everybody about Wrestle Dogs.
I'll do that at the end. I'll do it at the end.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just easing you in nice and gentle, mate. Nice and easy. No, that's all good. It's all good. Well, okay, let's get into the show then. Is anybody going to tomorrow's match? Wish I was.
No,
gentlemen.
It's quite a distance from me as Luton.
But it's actually at the Emirates tomorrow, isn't it? But no, nothing. Hello.
I'm doing myself.
Is this on?
Yeah, that's one of those Luton moments.
Another one. You bring them to the table all the time, Sam. What I am doing tomorrow is I am going to meet my buddy in the pub down the road, and I'm going to watch it over there. So that's going to be fun. So no live stream tomorrow, unfortunately, but we will be similar to this kind of stream. It's going to be a review kind of preview show coming up on Friday is the plan. Probably at our normal time slot, around about 8-9 o'clock ish, depending on when Mrs. M's in the building is basically what I'm trying to say to you. But let's get into the. I have a little bit of a format today, and I probably want to start it with Sam, of course. Sam was watching the Conti Cup final with his mates on Sunday. I think before we get into talking about the match, it's probably of most importance to everyone, really, that a bit of an update on Freedom Arnhem. because there was a stage in, I think it was in the first stage of extra time, wasn't it, where she collapsed completely off the ball. Very concerning incident. It is a good bit of a good news update from the Arsenal is that she did not lose consciousness at the time, and she hasn't been to hospital as such. She travelled back with the Arsenal squad. They are continuing tests with her, but sounding like a very, very positive update from Arsenal on Freedom Arnhem.
Yeah, I think there was another update today, actually.
Yeah.
As of like a couple of hours ago. I'm
Mhm.
sure I saw it. Just saying that she's like doing well. And
Yeah.
that she's just like, yeah, she's doing okay. Like it was nothing. Because obviously, first of all, like, it looked genuinely really cool. Like, because obviously at that time I was kind of watching between the City game and like the other game on my tablet, and I just looked down, and it was like it was weird because I didn't actually know what happened. No one knew what really happened. Like it was completely off the ball, and she just literally like fell down.
I think that's credit to the TV company actually, because they kept the camera away with a serious situation going on. So I think,
because I know in the past they've been under kind of scrutiny to do with that, haven't they? Like when Ericsson,
yeah,
like they carried on like filming, didn't they, almost for a little while?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good to see that they've learned from like their misdoings before and did completely just. I think the medical team also kind of crowd around the player now as well, don't they? So that the camera doesn't have any option to kind of film there.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of good news just to start us off. Frida seems to be doing okay. I will ask you, Sam, on the starting lineup for Arsenal as we set up. Chloe Lacasse was in the starting lineup ahead of Rousseau and ahead of Clayton Ford as well. Catley was on the bench. Were you happy with what you saw in the starting lineup? Any surprises in there?
So all my friends are going nuts at me, going, "Oh my God, why isn't Rousseau playing? Rousseau should be playing." But I actually think it was really clever from him because the way that Rousseau plays, she's not as, I wouldn't say she's potent as in front of goal as Blackstenius is. So he saw it from a straight, I need to score goals perspective. So I actually agreed with him in starting her, because obviously the week before when I went to Villa, it was when she came on that it kind of changed and we started getting more opportunities, and then obviously she took one or two of them, didn't she? So I was in agreement of that because we've got a squad that's massive, so you've got to use that squad in the right way. You've got to put players on. Rousseau can be a really good impact player because she will just cause your defence havoc. She'll be in the penalty box at one stage and she'll be outside the box. She'll be just everywhere. So I think it was completely tactical that he kept both Caitlin Ford and them off, because obviously the last thing you want 10 minutes with a game to go is Caitlin Ford, that's somebody really fast running at you. So I think that was completely done tactically. I've not been his biggest critic as of late, as you know, but I think that was really quite clever.
Absolutely. I will try and ask Bertie a little bit because I want to get you involved in a little bit, because we watched the Villa game together. Did you have any thoughts on team selection at all? Is that, or would you like to give your thoughts perhaps on Blackstenius, who we did see for the majority of the game against, I think all the game actually against Aston Villa, who it was ultimately the match winner?
I don't have any questions or anything regarding the starting 11, but I'm just really pleased that Arsenal women managed to retain the Conti Cup 2 years in a row. So very good. Also against Chelsea as well, which was who we beat last year. So excellent all round, really.
It put a big smile on. It put a big smile on my face because knowing that they can't do the treble now like Arsenal did, have Arsenal have done, knowing that they can't do that is just wonderful. And I don't know if you both saw it at the end of the game when Emma Hayes pushed Jonas. Did you both know why that happened?
I do have an idea why it happened. So apparently it was all to do before the match started. Apparently they wanted to have a discussion about whether to use the multi-ball system or just using the one ball. Mm-hmm. And Chelsea wanted to go with the one ball, Arsenal wanted to go with multi-ball. But Arsenal scored very late on. We'll get to that in a minute. But apparently when it's obviously there was only about 4 minutes to go in extra time, they all of a sudden are trying to get another ball ready to do a quick throw on and say, well, hold on, you're the ones who didn't want that in the first place, so ain't my problem. Yeah. I've got to say, really poor on Emma Hayes. I've got to say the conduct. I would have expected better.
Yeah, it just makes you look like, because obviously we know now why it happened, but out of context, it just makes you look like a really bad loser, doesn't it? Because out of context, if you didn't know that story, you would just think that she was getting a little bit like that because she'd lost. Her and Jonas never really got on anyway, I don't think. Because I don't really think Emma Hayes is a big fan of anyone kind of challenger in any way. And I think Jonas does that.
Big fan of herself.
Yeah. So I think that because Jonas gives her it back a little bit, I don't think she's a big fan of that, which is why I don't think they get on. But yeah, it's just wonderful to see them not able to do the treble. And I really hope that, without being bitter and horrible, I really hope that Barcelona beat them in the Champions League and then the Man City win the league as well. So she leaves with absolutely nothing. That would be the best possible situation.
Fair enough. Sounds good to me. It sounds good to me. Obviously, you're being very realistic in terms of Arsenal's expectations in the league here. I suppose that's what makes it quite special for us to at least keep hold of the cup itself. Let's sort of go through a little bits of the play, if we may. Do you know what the best place probably to start was the disallowed goal? This caught me by surprise, Sam, for Chelsea. So amongst the build-up for the goal by Ramirez for Chelsea, there was quite a subtle but very clear handball by the midfield player Cuthbert. Now, I didn't know it was going to go to VAR. So I'm so not used to seeing that in the women's game. So firstly, how come that's being used in a cup final, and your thoughts of that bit of play in general, please?
So apparently, last year, can you remember last year when Arsenal played in the Champions League final and it was the second leg against Wolfsburg in the Champions League?
Yes, I don't remember it well.
They used, because I actually went to that game, and I didn't know prior to that they were going to use VAR. So they used it in that game. So I think they're using it for like massification by the looks of it. So yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not his biggest fan, but that was at one stage where it actually really helped us, because had it been a normal WSL game, we'd have been 1-0 down there potentially. Yeah. And we'd have gone absolutely nuts, because obviously it wasn't even that much. It wasn't even that subtle. She may as well have grabbed hold of the ball, picked it up, and launched it towards the goal. It was that obvious.
It's almost like a netball thing or something.
But had that have not been in play, the ref would have still given that goal, because it was only when they looked at VAR that they called it out. Yeah.
What I will say is the shot itself, Ramirez, and first looking of it, was actually a brilliant shot. And the name's just completely disappeared out of my head. The goalkeeper couldn't have a chance to even see it, but didn't matter in the end.
I don't know if you know also much about this Ramirez that they've signed, because she is the so when they signed her, she's now the highest paid player in women's football, I believe. I'm just going to get like the figures that she's on, but she's certainly like the most highest paid player in the WSL, because they signed her for like not a ridiculous amount, but then her wages are like shocking compared to all the other players. I wasn't really that impressed because obviously when you come with that price tag as you're the highest paid player in the WSL, you expect it to be unbelievable. But I didn't actually, apart from that goal, I didn't actually see that much that I was impressed by, because obviously I kept an eye out as to how she was.
Okay. I do have a couple of Arsenal efforts to talk about from the first half. One was from Beth Mead. It was the lob from quite a distance, which wasn't too far away, and there was an effort from Katie McCabe outside the area that came relatively close. Have you anything to add on them too?
There's a couple of chances, weren't there, in the first half? I think all the way through the game, it was very kind of end to end. It was kind of like blow for blow almost, wasn't it? From like the first to the last. I think we had a couple of like okay semi chances, but I think for the majority of the first half, anyway, Chelsea had the better of the play, I would say.
Yeah.
There was a couple of like I say, little snapshots from us. But for me, I think we were fairly fortunate as of the first half finishing for it to be 0-0, to be fair, because they did kind of completely control the game almost in the first half. Yeah.
And it probably didn't make us feel much better to see at half time that Leah Williamson went off. Now, I didn't know the exact reason why. And I do have a positive update on Williamson. I'll get to that at the end of the game review. Cordona came on to replace her. Second half happened. Don't really have an awful lot written down for the second half, other than there was one outstanding chance for me, and that was Lauren James. She was one-on-one coming in from that left-hand side, and Zimberger was the goalkeeper I was trying to remember the name of. Managed to save it with the leg. That was a top-class save, which kept us in the game. Zimberger does get a bit of criticism every now and then, including from yours truly, but I thought she did very well on keeping a one-on-one chance out. Throw it to Sam. Anything?
Yeah, I just think it shows how good, because obviously Williamson went off in that half time. That was a massive blow to it all. But I don't actually think in the second half, to be honest, that we notice when Leah Williamson's not playing, but I think it shows the strength of our squad that it didn't really hurt us a massive amount. Like, it didn't suddenly start leaking 20 times more chances. I think we had a better second half than we did in the first half, because I think it was more, whereas the first half was maybe end to end, but Chelsea had more of it. The second half was pretty much split down the middle, and I think it was pretty much end to end both ways. It could have gone either way in that second half had chances taken, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think really not really that much to report from there. Obviously the incident with Marnham was really the only real thing that happened in the extra time first period. There was another effort from Stina Blackstenius that went over in extra time, but then we had the goal, Sam, and there's quite a fun short that I've put up. Was we were mid conversation, weren't we, mate?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Absolutely. We talked about the game potentially going to penalties, and I said, let's just get David Raya, put him in a wig and call him Davina, so he can make it for the
shootout,
inevitable penalty shootout against Chelsea.
The timing couldn't have been better.
You didn't have to do that. We didn't have to do that, didn't we?
Absolutely. And a case of substitutes linking up. Catley and Ford on the left-hand side, putting the ball into the centre area. Blackstenius, composed, very much like against Aston Villa, managed to control where the ball was and put it away very nicely. Much tidier finish, I would say, than Villa.
Yeah,
that's probably fair to say.
Yeah, there wasn't a handball involved as well at the same time. But It was. I think that's exactly why she's in our squad. I talked about like she only needs. Yes, he had that chance before, but Russo sometimes needs a couple of chances before she scores. Whereas Blackstone is normally just like potent, exactly what you want in a striker. Like when you need her to score, she just does. And I think that's why we're like really fortunate to have both of those players, because you've got one that's kind of Russo's kind of your player that is. She almost reminds me like a Gabriel Jesus sort of player that kind of doesn't score you like 30 goals a season, but when she plays, she's everywhere on the pitch. She's tracking back for defence. She's picking up the ball, like a workhorse type striker. Whereas Blackstone is more of a kind of I don't know. I'm trying to think like Arsenal type players, so more like of an Ian Wright type player, like a poacher.
Yeah,
just will get the ball from anywhere and just kind of score. So I think you're extremely fortunate when you've got two strikers like that. I've just gone back and about that Chelsea player before we go on. So when they signed her, she's got the British record fee of a player. So they signed her for £384,000, which obviously in the women's football is an awful lot. And you got 42,000 in potential add-ons. Because of that rise, that fee could become the most expensive player in women's football, full stop. That was why I watched her at the weekend thinking, oh my God, she must be something like really special if they paid that amount of money for her. But to be honest, I didn't see anything, because obviously they've got, as much as I hate to say it, they've got one of the best strikers in women's football, as Sam Kerr, that play for them as well. So it doesn't strike me as they need like another like striker that's of her level. And I tried to just obviously, because every time you play against Sam Kerr, as much as I don't like her, every time you play against her, you're kind of worried because she's likely to score like at least one more. But I didn't really see that in their striker, to be honest. Apart from scoring that really good goal that was called out, I didn't particularly feel that worried about her being on the pitch, to be honest. I'm just being super critical. Obviously, I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses a little bit as an Arsenal fan. But no, I wasn't particularly that amazed by her.
You mentioned Sam Kerr there. I think I'm right in saying that she's picked up the big injury, isn't she? She's on the ACL injury list, isn't she?
So that's why they signed her, because she. I think she got an ACL injury. I think. Off the top of my head. So that's obviously why they signed her. But obviously that's going to create a bit of a. It's going to create a bit of a like dilemma for Chelsea, isn't it, when she comes back? As to we've signed someone that is the British record transfer, but we've got one of the best strikers in world football in Sam Kerr. As much as it actually hurts for me to say that, but you just have to be honest sometimes and say that's going to cause a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Because two strikers that are, I wouldn't necessarily say one's that much better than the other. So we're in quite a good position that they can kind of switch between the two. Whereas Sam Kerr doesn't strike me as someone that would be happy to sit on the bench.
That was an amateur mistake, wasn't it? Turn your phone on silently. Call yourself a professional. Jeez. Interesting point about the record fee paid. That might well have been Russo in January last season for coming to Arsenal, because they did put in £1 million bid. I do remember reporting on. And it could have been eclipsed again by the goalkeeper at Manchester United, whose name is, thank you, Sam,
Mary Earps.
Mary Earps, but she's seeing through her contract till the end of the season. Right, I'll be right with you, Amy.
That could be really interesting, because obviously it's going to be in Russo's situation potentially where she can leave on a free. So
what I'm suggesting right now, I'm going to have to attend to Amy for just a minute, guys. So as we sort of come to the end of the coverage for the Conti Cup final, and congratulations to the Arsenal women's side, success well deserved. I am going to leave it to my co-host to start talking about the Manchester City game, and I'll come on to my next point in just a minute. I'm being dragged away by my daughter. I'll be right back, guys.
All right, no worries. Well, I'm in control now. So obviously myself and Lee was watching both games, being the professional he is. It was the Sunday night war, if you know what I mean, right? It is, I was focusing on the big game for the men's team against Man City. I mean, first of all, I think it's an absolute disgrace that both the men and the women's team were playing at the same time. I think if this ever happens next year, they need to sort their scheduling out a bit more, because we shouldn't really have a clash like that. But I watched the full minutes of that Man City game, and if you're wondering why I seem like I'm a little bit tired in this video, it's because I'm too busy thinking about that Man City match. Yeah, but look, in my opinion, yes, it wasn't the most exciting game to watch for a neutral. I completely understand that, but we don't usually play like that, but when you're up against Man City at the Etihad, you're gonna have to adapt your style of play in order to try your best to match them or counter them, if that makes sense, don't you think, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I was probably like you on Sunday, a little bit disappointed that we didn't go for it a little bit more, but as I've kind of reflected upon the game since then, it kind of just shows the progression that we've made, because that team, even last year at the Etihad, wouldn't have done that. We'd have just folded and caved in and lost 3 or 4-0. So it actually does show the progression we're on, I think, that we can, when needed, just play the game ugly and just kind of stick 11 men behind the ball, including the goalkeeper, and just kind of see it out. Because, yeah, I am slightly disappointed that we didn't go for it, because there was a couple of opportunities that had we have gone for it, we could have scored. But then would that have come at the consequence of us potentially conceding down the other end, is what I'm kind of thinking. Had we gone all guns blazing like we normally do, would that have had a knock-on effect?
Was a big chance for Trossard, wasn't there, late on in the game, where he probably should have squared it to Martinelli, and it probably would have gone in. But I think that's the one I think a lot of people will be referring to. But I think apart from that, I thought we held our own quite. I thought, again, it wasn't the best style of football we played. I get that, and I can see why people are a bit saying the game was boring, because I'll be honest, for a neutral, it was. But I think defensively, that was our best defensive performance I've seen in a long, long time. I thought Saliba and Gabriel were absolutely sublime as Mr. Meadows returns. I was just telling Sam about, whilst for the neutral, it was probably one of the most boring games I'll ever see. I thought you've got to adapt when it comes to playing Man City at the Etihad, and I thought defensively we were excellent.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think we set up in a right manner with the two holding midfielders to start with basically Rice and Jorginho there. I want to credit Saka a bit for, although clearly not 100% fit at that stage, and he might not have been as effective as we'd probably like him to be. I thought the support he gave with Ben White on the right-hand side, same thing with Jesus. Again, Jesus, and I know in particular, my broadcast colleague was a little bit critical of him at half-time, certainly for his output going forward, and I totally understood that. But the work he did put in trying to protect us on the left-hand side couldn't be underestimated. We could have gone to the Etihad, and in years gone by, the game would have gone before we were even in it, if you understand what I mean. And it might not have been the most attractive style of football that we've ever played. I thought it was effective. And what it does mean, as a whole, obviously, the 3 points would have been ideal. And had we put away the chances, I know Jesus probably had the best ones that we could probably have had. It would have made things a bit easier. Obviously, now we're falling into second place with Liverpool. And I think for the first time in the season, Liverpool are favourites. But it means that we can go into games like tomorrow, like Saturday, where we have to go all in on it and win these games. We've got to win pretty much everything that we've got coming up.
Yeah, I think I was just saying to Posh, like, while you're away, I think because I think obviously I was quite annoyed, and most people will be, that we didn't give it more of a go. But had we, like I mentioned before, had we give it more of a go, would that have meant we'd have lost the game 2 or 3-0? So I think it shows that, I think it silences some of Arteta's critics, doesn't it? Some of Arteta's critics will go, well, we can only kind of play one way, which I've kind of said of him before. We don't seem to be, when it comes down to like critical moments, we don't seem to be making the correct decision sometimes. But I certainly think he did, well, half did, because I think by the time we made the subs, it was too late. Had he have made those subs a bit more proactively and said kind of, right, let's put Thomas Partey on a little bit earlier so he can get more into the game, which will push Declan Rice a little bit more forward. Put Trossard on a little bit sooner, because Saka obviously was completely knackered. You could see that. For me, he should have maybe been off even at half time, because you could see he wasn't right. The problem is when you play Saka when he's not right, he's not effective, and it could make whatever he's going through worse. You don't know if he was having like a niggly injury. You know it's obviously illness now, but I think we do need to learn how to protect him a little bit more. I think we've all said this. Like, I think we need to. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that sometimes he could look at a little bit better. I think he sometimes leaves it too long before he makes his changes and does it as kind of a reactive thing rather than proactive. Because if you give a player from 65 minutes till the end, then he's got a chance to come into the game. Whereas if you did like we did at the weekend and it gets to like 75, 80 minutes before you start changing things, they've then got no time to make an impact on the game. So I think that's what we need to do better, is just be a little bit more proactive in our thinking. But other than that, I think it's really good, because it shows that we can play, we can adapt to the opposition rather than just play our way and that's the way that we always play. It just shows that we have different plans, really.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from in terms of maybe on the changes point. I'll kind of make another point on the changes, and the point I want to make is obviously one thing we did mention is Kivior came off, and I thought he did okay, didn't do anything wrong, but certainly myself and Posh often agree with. I know we agree on something, that Tomiyasu is a more than capable defender. Either side, no problem. And I thought, obviously, him coming back to fitness, him coming on a little bit more of an experienced player towards the end of the game, I think probably helped. I think Jorginho was probably running out of gas round about the hour mark. And with Partey obviously just coming back, that's a big boost with the squad. So that change made a lot of sense.
I thought Partey held his own quite well.
Came on. You could see the difference. I think although Jorginho is a good player, don't get me wrong, he's surprised a lot. You can see the difference in class between a Partey and a Jorginho, because Partey he's one of those players that just holds it in midfield. It allows Declan Rice to have that more freedom to go up and have these shots and take these corners like he has, because he knows that he hasn't got a massive gap where he should be. He knows that Partey just stands in that middle and just nothing goes past him. So I'm just praying that he can stay fit, because I think that could be that could be unbelievable, because I think that's the difference from us being really good with Declan Rice to like being there to absolutely immense with our defence and 2 CDMs that are just unbelievable. So I think that takes us from having a good defence to being unbelievable. But again, you don't know if he's going to stay fit. That's the only thing.
That's the thing, he has been injured for so long. You got anything more to add on that one, Posh?
I just think that look, I was a bit when Partey came on against Brentford and against Sheffield United, you could tell how rusty he was.
Yeah.
Just coming back from injury, he kept giving the ball away a lot. But against City, I thought he did well. So I think hopefully he's now fully recovered and ready to properly play for us again. And who knows, based on if we're going to do any rotating, which I think should happen tomorrow, he might even start against Luton. Who knows?
Yeah. I think the only thing that comes to my mind starting against Luton is that game is going to be quite scrappy, I'd imagine. I don't think so. I think we've got to be really careful. I know you shouldn't really cover a player in a protective cast and never play it. I'm not saying that, but I think we've got to be really careful as to what situations we put him in. We don't want him he's been injured for ages. We don't want to put him in a game that is going to be potentially like tomorrow that could be a little bit physical. Because Luton obviously are a team, they're going to have to get at us, because if they don't get at us, they're going to be in a world of trouble because we're just running rings around them. So they're going to have to have that little physical edge, I think, to kind of ruffle us up a little bit. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I know we can't, not play him, but I'm not sure I would be giving him the full 90, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. I'd probably take him off at half-time, maybe. But when has Arteta ever made substitutions when it comes early in the second half? So
that game where Saka went off at half-time because he was ill and we were about 4-5-0 up the other week.
I just think that's
we get away with that because we were 5-0 up.
Yeah, that's where Guardiola and stuff differ between Arteta, and he's still got that little bit of, that little bit of learning to do, because you do need to, you do need to be really careful with your squad, and you need to be methodical in when you play players, when you don't play players. And I think that's what he still needs to learn, I think, is to get a little bit more thinking ahead, if that makes sense. So thinking towards the next game or thinking towards a couple of weeks in front. I think that's what Guardiola does very well, and that's why their squad is most of the time always fit. Obviously, they've had a few injuries this year, but most of the time they do really well at kind of their squad management type stuff. I think that's what we need to get a little bit better at, if I'm honest.
I think that's something that Arteta's actually brought up in the press conference, saying about keeping the players, squad players, motivated and ready to play. And, when they need to come and make an impact off the bench, they need to realise the importance of that time on the field. Like we've just mentioned, Partey coming on, making a difference. And yes, you're quite right. He did look rusty when he came back in them early games, but that happens sometimes. Obviously, we kind of expect, you wouldn't expect them to just pick it up just like that. It's like someone who hasn't been in a wrestling ring for about a year. Don't go and expect them to go and have a 5-star Meltzer Classic straight away, do you? So
Unless in a street fight against Triple H in 2002.
No, that's very true.
I think in the wrestling terms, I think Thomas Partey's against those two games that we mentioned, I think that might be The Rock when he steps into that tag team match, because he's been so many years, hasn't he? Is it 7 or 8 years now? Where he hasn't been wrestled. I think it's something silly like that.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But just sort of wanted to wrap the City game up. There was one other point that I really want to make, and I think it's probably a valid one, in that had Martinelli been completely 100% fit, I think he might have made a hell of a difference on that left-hand side. because that blistering pace that he has, he probably edges the pace thing on Jesus.
I think we also had like a really pacey striker because obviously they bought that. They had to take Ake off, didn't they, and bring on that 18-year-old defender. So if we'd have had, I wonder how it would have been different if we'd have had Saka on full form, Martinelli on full form, and then a striker that was really pacey as well. I think we could have seriously pushed on and targeted that one central defender and run rings around him. But because I don't think we did that, I think my only kind of, and this is not a criticism, I don't think, but I think Jesus, when he gets the ball, I think he does too much. So like in that first half, when there was a shot that he had towards the edge of the box, and he seems to take so many touches before he shoots and puts himself in a worse position than he was before. So sometimes I think he just needs to because I don't know about you two, but I'd rather him just shoot and completely miss it than take 10 touches and then defender and not able to shoot in that position. So I think
make a chance count as well with Jesus.
Yeah. I think in a couple of times in that first half, had he have just shot, I think we could have had a couple more opportunities as well.
I think what you're getting at is I think maybe Martinelli's more direct and more dynamic in his play. I think that's probably what you're trying to get at.
Yeah. Martinelli on that side would have then given Jesus better opportunities, I think, because obviously Saka normally gives Jesus good opportunities, but he wasn't at it. So he wasn't able to kind of produce the crosses and stuff that he normally has. So had they, again, both been fit, Jesus might have had better opportunities anyway.
Yeah, I do agree. So, all being said, of course, 0-0 draw at the Etihad is progression in my eyes. But like I kind of mentioned, it does put the emphasis on, and it's something. This isn't new. This isn't groundbreaking. What I'm going to say here, it's like just looking at our next game, going out and winning that next game, and then we'll look at Saturday, and then going to beat Brighton, and then we'll worry about the next one. Yeah. So it's just the importance of everything that we're doing next now in terms of the order of the games and how they fall. Just so happens that we happen to play Luton on Wednesday. It just so happens that Liverpool play on Thursday. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it might well be against Sheffield United themselves. I think. But I'm just... Yeah. I think I'm right, but I do want to... Yeah,
you are.
I am right. Look at that. What a journalist. So that brings us towards... How do we set up against Luton? What sort of? I mean, we talked about the importance of rotating players, especially with the amount of games coming up. Personally, it would make a bit of sense if one injured out, say that we had over the weekend, like Saka, gets taken out of the firing line. We put the other one in Martinelli, perhaps. Then we're sort of managing the game times. I just wondered, is there anything else that you might try? Then I'll give you my suggestions.
I think it's games like this. If I say this, he'll probably start and drop an absolute stinker. But it's games like this where you can get away with playing Zinchenko at left back. It's games like that where you can get away with it. I think that might happen.
Could happen, yeah.
And or if not, you can still stick with Kivior in there. And we've got Tomiyasu back as well. And I'd probably take him off at half time to manage his fitness, but I think I'd start Partey in midfield just for rotation's sake. Because Jorginho didn't have the best of games against City, didn't he?
I think he did okay, but I think the idea is definitely, if he comes out, Partey coming in means that he gets some game time. I think that makes a bit of sense. Do you have any further thoughts, Sam?
I would. I was just going to act like a really shocked face because I thought Posh was going to say when he was saying, I think it might be a game to start, and my head just went, oh my god, is he actually going to say it's going to be a game to start Eddie Nketiah? I thought I'd gone to this like cyber universe.
Don't be silly.
And just for a split second, I thought, oh my god, is he actually going to say it? And then he said Zinchenko, and I was like, oh. Thank God, order restored. Like,
I'd rather have Zinchenko up front than Eddie Nketiah up front. I will tell you that now.
I just in my head, it was a light bulb moment. Like, oh my God, is he actually going to say it? But
no, April Fool's Day was yesterday.
I should have known.
Oh, don't! I got done good and proper by one Harry Scarf. I got done well and truly good and proper by our Tottenham counterpart yesterday. But we'll move on from that.
Did he say that Tottenham were going to win a trophy?
No, it wasn't that much of a joke, mate.
Okay.
A lesson in that is sometimes Spurs fans will lie. They've had to spend their whole life saying that Spurs are amazing. So that in itself is a fairly big lie. So, yeah, it's not an April Fool sometimes that certainly my friends that support Tottenham tend to lie to me. But there we are. That's another story.
Okay.
But yeah, I honestly think that it's games like this when you need to be using your squad. So it's games like this when you can say to Reece Nelson, right, actually, do you know what? Go and show us why you should stay in this squad. You're not getting much game time. I don't know where your future may lie, but this is your chance to go and take a claim as to why you should be playing. So I think in games like this, as long as you have your starting players in that should be in there, you can sort of play a Reece Nelson or play I don't know, whatever that might be, and give your squad players a bit of a chance. No.
No.
I would rather, further to Posh's point, do you know the lad that we've just signed on a professional contract? I can't think what his name is now.
Wanyeri.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would rather start him than I would start Nketiah.
Okay. I will give you my sensible suggestions now. Okay. So what I think Posh has hit a really good idea with the Zinchenko thing, because it's a game we're going to have lots of possession in, and in that situation at the Emirates against a side that probably will pack a midfield, I would imagine Zinchenko is probably a good shout for that.
I think Luton will probably play like we did against City.
Yeah, probably.
They'll park the bus a little bit, won't they?
Yeah.
There might be a slight difference in quality, though. Just a slight difference. You know? I might play Tomiyasu. I might play him at right back. Just potentially. I'd keep the two centre-halves the same. If Gabriel's all good from the... Well, apparently he had, like, I don't know, ankle issue or something, Achilles issue. They'll know better than I would, but I wouldn't want to be taking liberties, so I'd have the two centre-halves together. Obviously, we play Declan Rice because he plays 90 minutes all the time. But the partner next to him, Posh has said it, I think Partey's a good shout.
Is there an opportunity to play, if Timber's back in the squad, which I think he is there an opportunity if he's on the bench, or he doesn't even make the bench at the moment?
I was going to get onto Timber in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But the only other changes I might make, I'd probably keep Kai as centre forward, but then like I said, I'd probably put Martinelli in, and I'd probably start Trossard as well. But you can put Eddie in if you want to. You said Nelson in the squad. No. I wanted to double check on Nelson's availability because he wasn't in the 18 on Sunday. But someone who was Fabio Vieira. So maybe he could be in, unless he's busy doing a Wrestle Dogs video.
Well, I've heard that he's moved to Italy. He's moved to Juventus.
No, that's Football Manager.
I know.
That's my Football Manager save.
I was just going to quickly detour into that and tell everybody to watch it.
I see what you did.
I fancied an Italian holiday, so I was quite pleased when I found out that I'd gone to Juventus.
Be nice,
go.
yeah.
I'll be streaming tomorrow. Check it out.
Pops me every time I see that, mate. It's very good.
This
Very
could be merch, you know, like the heel Batman merch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think people are buying that.
what, a mannequin suit kind of deal.
Me in that suit with the
Just
caption,
like
the poshest
shirt.
gaffer in sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see the Twitch chat. Welcome in. Hello.
We do read it.
Bosh and Chops. I'd love to see it. So, possibly a new name in there? And is there something I need to see on the Twitch chat? Maybe I'll have a quick look in the studio over there.
I've got I've got the comments here.
Yeah. I'll just double check on the dashboard. Brand new. Welcome. And thank you for watching us. If you are brand new to us, please hit that follow button. Just to give you a bit of background who we are. We are he's going to guess our ages. Oh my gosh. So we're basically an Arsenal family-friendly channel. We do all sorts of things here. We do previews and reviews. Especially me and my boy up here, we do a lot of the live games. That's what we did over the weekend. And we have a lot of fun with it. And obviously with the Twitch, if you're brand new to us on Twitch, that's great. That's a great place for you to be, because if we can retain the viewership up on there, we can start becoming an affiliate and get all excited about that. And then maybe you can start donating bits and pieces and whatever else you hip kids do.
I'm really curious as to what you think we all do as jobs. That's the one that, like, because that's a really hard thing to do, isn't it? Like, because I couldn't, like, if I
YouTube presenter.
Yeah, I didn't know, if I didn't know either of you, like, I wouldn't be able to tell what you do in your day job by looking at you. So I'm really curious as to what he thinks we do.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be waiting in anticipation. Here we go. Man on the top left. Hello, my name is Lee Meadows. Is Steve Truck Mountain 52? 52? Where's that ban button? I'm joking. And the driving instructor 3 days a week. And a stop dealer 2 days a week. Well, I can tell you.
I love him already.
Yeah, that's fantastic how he's had to think about that. And you're a driving instructor and then a stab wound. What even is a stab wound dealer?
I'm stunned.
Is that an actual...
I'm actually a male model. I'm 24. One thing I'm not going to do is reveal my place of work, but I work for a large supermarket chain. Other supermarkets are available, and I definitely ain't going to give my personal details out on YouTube. But if this is what I'm getting, 52. I mean, how can you go over? For crying out loud! I'm waiting to see what my boy gets here.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, he was 1 year, 1 year behind. You got 1 out of 3 right.
Yeah, he's my adopted son.
Yep.
Stand shirtless on the top of water slide saying, "Yes, next person."
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
That'll be on our Patreon page.
Yeah.
Coming up soon.
I'll be the person that goes down the slide, and Posh can just say, "Yes, next person." And
yes, this is Fabio Vieira down here.
I'm 22, but you were close to my age, so
and you're my adopted son.
I'm semi-impressed there.
Just FYI, there isn't a job title called a stab wound healer. That's not an actual job title. That's just
You mean to say he made that one up? That's just outrageous.
And neither is what he said there about me. You don't really want to see me do that application. I'll stick to what I do anyway. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And without giving away where exactly you work, Posh, would you like to give a bit of a clue?
I associate myself with a certain UK charity. So yeah. Can we talk about Man City Arsenal again? Oh, no, Luton.
No.
Again.
I'm waiting to see what Sam gets.
Okay.
Or Fabio Vieira.
I'm really curious.
Professional footballer for Arsenal Football Club. Took a penalty in the
well-
Community Shield. Haven't seen him since.
Falling on hard times and having to do YouTube videos.
I don't think I'd be sat in a house like this. I think if I was on Fabio Vieira's wage, I'd be sat in a really nice, amazing house with lovely car outside and
Fantastic. Right. So I was given my thoughts on the squad and all that sort of thing, and that Nelson wasn't available. Vieira might be, unless you're doing anything else, Sam.
I don't know. I might be working, so it might be a bit tough to get to Luton in time, but I'll certainly try.
Fair enough. Oh my gosh. There we go. The man on the bottom.
Johnson Boris. There you go.
45.
And he plays his wet floor sign and his wet floor placer sign at Nando's.
Okay.
Other food outlets are available.
45 is adding how many years? 20?
Quite a lot, mate.
Like, at least, nearly 20 years onto my age.
You know what? It's being on the camera. It does wonders for you.
Yeah, I think I need to get better cameras on my computer if I look 45.
There's better cameras and a better Wi-Fi connection. Anyway,
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think the closest he got in any of these guesses was my age, where he was 1 year short, because I'm 22, not 21. So I'll kind of give him that. So well done, I guess, on that point.
I don't even like Nando's, so I don't think I'd
Good
work.
to see you anyway. Good to see
Absolutely.
you, sir. Make sure you give us a follow as well on Twitch and all that.
Yeah,
Get us
absolutely.
to
That'd be
a
amazing. And there it is. He has done that live. I can see it on the thing there, on the dashboard. Thank you very much indeed. And no, we're all about the banter. You'll see that on our streams and on our shorts and on the TikTok channel as well. Right, so we have been derailed somewhat. Is there anything else that you guys want to add on the Luton Town game?
I just think we've got to be. I just think you've got to be really careful in matches like this, haven't you? Because you can go into them thinking on paper, yes, we should beat Luton, but I just hope that we don't get. We haven't, to be fair, this season. Even when we've come up against teams that aren't necessarily doing well, we've done the same job. So I don't think that we're in a space where we take games for granted anymore, like we have done in the past. But I just don't think we can take it lightly, because Luton have been surprising a lot of teams this year. So if we're not careful and we go into it anything other than 100%, that could well happen to us. So it's one of those games that you just need to act like as if you're playing Man City again and just get the job done.
Okay. Question from the chat. Probably a more regular football match goer is Sam. And Sam quite often goes to the WSL games as well. But do you ever buy the food from there? Is it expensive? And most importantly, what are the quality of the toilets like?
So the food at Arsenal, although it's expensive, is fairly good. They've upped their selection of food and it's fairly good. The food at Wembley is the worst food I've ever consumed in my life. So if you ever go to Wembley, make sure you eat before, because I had the driest burger that I ever had in my life when I went to the final a couple of years ago. And then when I went to the wrestling this year, I paid about £4 for the privilege of eating stone cold chips that is like cardboard. So if you ever go to Wembley, don't buy the food, buy it elsewhere. I don't know. Aston Villa had a food court when I went. There was like different vendors. That was quite cool. The quality of the toilets. Well, I suppose it depends what sort of ground you go to. If you go to Ebbsfleet or Lincoln, they're not going to be the same quality as the ones at Arsenal.
Oh, we got five-star toilet facilities.
Oh, really?
What were the toilet facilities like here, Posh?
No, that's just a sign that says "Posh out." That I did there, and Jennifer's really mad about that.
I bet she is.
You know you've screwed up when you get Jennifer Louise angry.
She blocked me.
Food, though, I'd generally be curious though, because the prices could put people off and wreck parts of the membership. I mean, look, I've not been to the Emirates since 2019. But yeah, I know that the food is like super expensive there.
But that's not just Arsenal though. I think when you go anywhere, so even when you go to football, when you go to concerts, unfortunately, it's like that everywhere you go now. It's just a thing that you have to do now. Like, you know, when you go to somewhere like that, everything's going to have a premium on top of it. It's just, unfortunately, something that's the modern way of when we go out. But yeah, I suppose you've got a choice, haven't you? You've got your ticket. You either be sensible and you eat before you go in the ground at a restaurant or a cafe like I do, or you can be not sensible and go and pay £7 for a hot dog or whatever. So it's completely, you kind of make the experience what you make it, don't you, almost?
I can highly recommend there's a fish and chip shop very near the Arsenal Stadium, which I'd always go to. It's actually near Highbury, a little bit further down the road up that way. But that's the one I'd recommend. If
anyone ever goes, we've gone to the same cafe every time you walk out Finsbury Park since when Dad was even going. The Arsenal Caf near Finsbury Park. Like, we go there every single time. Every single game we go there. You can get like a full-blown meal that lasts you for like most of the day for like £5 or £6. It's perfect.
Fair enough. Right. So I think in terms of moving back to where we need to be, because as you can probably tell by the fact I keep on looking back, I am on dad duty as well. We have been going for about an hour, and I need to turn into the expert chef that I am as well to get Amy's dinner on in a minute. The only piece of other news that I did want to bring up, we kind of mentioned it when we were talking about the Conti Cup final. Leah Williamson did go off injured at half-time. I have heard, unless Sam has heard differently, that she was training with the England side this lunchtime. So whatever the issue was, obviously wasn't too serious. So she'll be linking up for the first time in about a year or so with the England squad since her ACL injury. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add on that, Sam?
I didn't even know that because I hadn't even had a chance to look at my phone today. So that was news to me as well.
Well, no, that's all good. That's all good. Well, I think, unless there's any other business for the pair of yous, I think we'll wrap it up from about there. It's fantastic to have a new follower on the Twitch channel, and yes, you've probably got the biggest laugh we've ever had on the channel. So cheers for doing that. Let's throw it to Sam first, shall we? Because Sam's got a lot going on, and we do want to plug our friends over at Wrestle Dogs as well. So, Sam, would you like to do your socials and tell everybody about Wrestle Dogs, please?
Mm-hmm. So, my socials are, my Twitter's there at the bottom, actually. Sam Wilson with a 1 in the space of the eye. It's a long time since I've had to do that, actually. But yeah, I don't tweet that much. I went through a stage of trying to tweet a little bit more. But like I always say, I mainly use it. At the minute, Twitter's not very exciting because Arsenal are doing well, so Posh doesn't go on his little Twitter rants. So normally that's what I use it for. It's just when Arsenal are doing so well, it's like a little bit of therapy when Posh goes absolutely nuts on Twitter. Because I'm probably thinking exactly the same thing. So it gives me that little thing going, yeah, actually, somebody else is really mad. So it actually helps. But obviously, as we're doing well,
Mhm.
a bit
I'm there for.
TV, the content goes down a little bit. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Wrestle Dogs is what, Sam?
Oh yeah, it is. So I, along with these two gentlemen at the top, who come on the show, have a YouTube channel with one of my friends called Wrestle Dogs. We are doing really well currently. Big weekend coming up in terms of the channel because of WrestleMania. So we've got 2 live streams, which I now will not be involved in, but I will be doing 2 reviews of the Sunday and then of the Monday as well. So that's my part on the channel. So yeah, come and check us out. Obviously, if you're part of this channel, you get the random wrestling references anyway. So
All the
you may as
time.
well just do one better and come and subscribe to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my broadcast partner, the poshest gaffer in the business, Posh Bertie. Could you tell everybody your socials and your scheduling plan for the week, please?
You can follow me on Twitter or X at Posh Bertie, as Sam just mentioned. You can follow me on Instagram at Bertie Wanless. I also run Gooner Gatherings Instagram account. And of course, you can find me on this channel, where tomorrow, I think before an hour or about 2 hours before the Arsenal game, I'll be playing a bit of Football Manager. And yeah, that's the pre-show, before the Arsenal Luton game. Yeah, that's the only time I could play it this week, so that's why I'm doing it.
No worries at all. As we've already had a new follower over on the Twitch, that is where you can find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Gooner Gathering. So we obviously Posh is doing a bit of gaming over there, Football Manager 2024. We've done retro watch-alongs, we've done football watch-alongs, we've done wrestling watch-alongs. We've had all sorts of fun over there. So that's where we do all the random stuff. I attempted to do a call-in show on Sunday. Wasn't so successful, but we'll maybe try that again another day.
We've
Let
got
me
comments
just...
flying in.
Yeah.
First of all, True Gooner is in the chat. Hello, Josh. How are you? Sorry I'm late. We'll rewatch
Good to
this.
see you, Josh.
No worries. We were just about to wrap things up anyway.
I think Josh has been streaming as well today. So that's True Gooner on YouTube as well. He's a good lad. And yeah, you always enjoy his streams and always enjoy his company. He's a legend. And Emerson's got an issue there as well, or a couple of comments there.
Timber may play one of the remaining under-21 matches this month. Okay, that's interesting.
Under 21s or under 23s. We'll see where that comes in.
Yeah,
Either way, it'd be encouraging to see him get some minutes in, even if it is with the academy. But
they can have, even in the 21 squad, they can have so many players that are not of that age in the team on their recovery journey. So you can have 1 or 2 players, I think.
I think you certainly allowed an overage player. I mean, I know I read a story the other month of the former Hull midfielder Tom Huddlestone playing for Manchester United under 23s or something. But he's the coach as well. He's almost like player coach over there, which is quite interesting. And I think this is on regards to Leah Williamson. Had a minor knee complaint, and she trained on her own. But what about Timber? So I'll tend to mention Timber in particular today, and just saying that he's looking good and it's looking promising that he'll get some sort of game time. But as you say, it's probably a decent idea for him to feature in one of the reserves and 21s, 23s, whatever it is, game before he comes rushing back. You don't want him being under speed, especially as we're running out of games. You don't want him making a big error. Thrill House Max is in the house.
We were getting more people in when we were about to leave. Good to see you, Max.
See,
are you still in for the quiz on Thrill House Max? Posh.
Depending if it's on Thursday, it will depend on when I get back home. Friday, I should be back home in time for the times he suggested. If it's on Friday, so Max, if you're still up for doing the quiz this week, you're gonna have to let me know the exact time, and I'll let you know if I'll be able to make it or not. But if I'm available, I'll be more than happy to appear on your channel. And
The WrestleMania quiz.
I'm intrigued.
I don't know if you might be interested, Sam.
I can give it a go. I can't say I'll be that fantastic, but I can certainly give it a go. On the modern WrestleManias, from like 20 to 30, I'll be absolutely perfect. But like before that,
Thursday, okay.
I'll leave it for you guys to discuss where you're going to do it. But if you want a wrestling quiz, twitch.tv/ThrillHouseMax, you can see him in the chat. That's where you need to find him on Thursday. I think we should probably wrap it up, gentlemen, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say thank you very much for watching. You can find me, of course, at Goonerly Meets. You can find the channel at Gooner Gathering. I deal with the TikToks as well. Please make sure you watch the TikTok video of me jumping up and down like a loon, celebrating Steena's goal from Sunday. That's very entertaining indeed. And you'll probably see us back on the channel. Posh is doing Football Manager, and I think after that it's likely to be a stream similar to this on Friday at our normal-ish kind of time slot, around 8, 9-ish. And then we'll be in on the chat along on Saturday. So that's it from us, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy your rest of your day. I am on full-time daddy duty and going to make Amy's dinner. So I shall see you all very soon indeed. Take care.